Cool, man. Simon from Akris. Good to meet you. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. You're in Norway, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So you've been there all your life. I mean, that's where you formed the band. That's where you met the other band members. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Uh, Long story short, Martin, the drummer, and I go way back. It's just a month between us, and we've been friends ever since we were born. Our dads are best friends,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
they have been playing in a progressive rock band together for their whole life. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, but Martin and I actually lived, and still live almost 1 to 2 hours apart from each other.
Right.
But every other Sunday, our dads had the band practice when we were kids. So we went to Martin's place, and while our dads had a break,
Yeah.
we got up on the loft and played the instruments.
Oh, that's so cool. So how
Uh,
young did you start playing?
when we started,
Yeah, like you yourself. Like when did you start like taking lessons and learning how to play?
5 years old, both of us. I think actually Martin maybe started when he was 4 because his older brother also plays the drums.
That's very cool.
He
That's
Martin's
awesome.
brother actually plays in a band called Infringement.
Not familiar.
It's
Yeah,
also a progressive band.
there's so
Yeah.
many.
Yeah.
So the origin of the band name. Tell people how to pronounce it and where it comes from.
Yeah, so there's a cabin in my family, which is in a place called Alvdal in Norway, and from that same small town, there's a famous author and artist called Kjell Aukrust.
Okay.
Uh, and since we made all the music at this cabin, where the same place where he's from, so we wanted to have his name, kind of his last name, as the band name. But his name obviously is being spelled with U's instead of the V.
Okay.
Um, so you basically say Aukrust.
So the idea was just to make it look cool, right? With the V's, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you Google with the use, you'll never find a band. You'll just
Right.
find plenty of information about this guy.
Okay.
But now, when you Google it with the V's, there's nothing else than our band.
Well, that is cool. I mean, that is the plus side of a band name like that, right? Because there's
Yeah,
other band names where,
I
like
mean, contortionist. Google that band name. You'll
right.
get.
And there's
I mean,
everything comes up. But even more
uh,
so, simpler band names, right? Like the cars or doors or something. It could be anything
yeah,
can come up nowadays, and it's way more difficult to find out anything.
true.
But so what kind of music did you grow up wanting to play? Was because you were influenced from your dad's playing prog, but I mean, was that always what you liked?
I mean, I've been listening to a lot of black metal as well.
Yeah, I can kind of hear that in there in the
Yeah,
music.
and I grew up with I won't start a fight here between our dads, but I think I think my dad has a bit wider. I mean, uh,
Like in
it's
influences?
called, yeah, kind of likes even more pop stuff and even heavier stuff than
Right.
Martin's dad. Uh, but I mean, we grew up with all the bands on Inside Out, and we we love Dream Theater, Yes, Rush, Jethro Tull. We grew up with all of these bands. Uh, and when we went to the cabin to start making music, we didn't actually try to make anything specific, at least not progressive rock music. I mean, we could ended up making black metal or even just straight pop music, basically. So
Right.
I mean, we just made whatever came to us right there, and then and I mean that's how the album ended how
So
it is.
I mean, have you seen a lot of the references to people comparing it to like Opeth and Porcupine Tree and stuff like that? Because that's what I see a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. I mean, we love those bands, love Steven Wilson and Michael Okerfeldt, and I mean, both Opeth and Porcupine Tree are major influences for us and bands that we have been following our whole lives, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely hear
Um,
a lot of that in there, but it's done in a really cool way. It's sort of
yeah,
combining different elements of them, and it doesn't sound exactly like one of them, but it's like almost like a cool mix.
I mean, The Pale Moon, the first single, is probably the most Opeth influenced
Yeah.
song on the album. Uh, but I mean, Spock's Beards and Neil Morris is also an influence. So,
That's
but yeah,
very cool. I mean, um, the album, the Approbation, comes out on June 16th.
yeah,
Very cool concept record. But can you give a little explanation about the story about the album and what you were trying to go for it with it?
yeah. As I said, we didn't try to make anything specific. We went to this cabin over 6 weekends actually, and we just drank beer and akevitt, Norway, which is liquor made from potato, uh, which we drink here. And we made food, and we just had fun making music together. Finally, we have been,
Wait, but you were just
yeah,
writing and recording it there as you did it,
yeah,
or you
yeah,
were just
yeah.
writing it at the time?
Now also recording.
So you set up like a mini
Uh,
studio there for you guys?
yeah, I mean, my regular job is mixing engineer. I do
Oh,
like
okay.
pop music for major labels, so I have this small portable setup, uh, which I brought to the cabin
Mm.
all those weekends. Um, so we did record all of the guitars and vocals and some synths and stuff like that, and then we re-recorded real drums and some keys back in Oslo when the
But
album was kind of finished.
but as far as the story of the characters that you see in the video, is that something that is in the like the lyrics and the story of the record?
Yeah, we kind of wanted to portray this character being alone. I mean, the cabin where we made all this is kind of a bit far away from civilization, so it's so quiet there. You can only hear the train hour making a horn sound, which you also can hear on the record.
Yeah.
We did some field recordings of that. Um, and we wanted to try to bring this character to this cabin, and everything just came really natural, both with all the music but also the lyrics, with this guy being all alone with his mind, and uh, kind of he knows that he's going to die basically, but he's trying to reach for acceptance and yeah, I mean, have a closure with it,
It's some really
kind of.
weird imagery and stuff in there.
Yeah.
It's very cool. And it works with the music, I think.
Yeah.
Um, so when you guys all got together, or was it just you and Martin writing, or was it the whole band getting together at the cabin?
Only Martin and I did like the main writing, so,
So
and we brought the other in later.
when it was the two of you sitting there writing, how does an idea typically start? With a riff or the acoustic guitars, or what was the process of putting a song together?
I mean, first the first thing we did when we came to the cabin was put up the gear, obviously, but then we had this shot of Aquit, which we did every time we got there, and then we just, I mean, we had some acoustic guitars, a couple of basses and some electric guitars. We'd set up this small key station with some mellotrons and stuff, and also made it really easy for Marty to program drums just for a kind of a reference.
Yeah.
And I mean, we didn't, as I said, we didn't try to make anything specific at all. We just sat down and kind of made a riff, build it up from there.
It's really cool. I mean, that's a really cool vibe. It sounds like, I mean, maybe the fact that you wrote it all in one place over a specific period of time is why it sounds very cohesive, and
Yeah,
everything kind of goes together. Um,
yeah. That's the
so
only thing we actually had in our minds when we started, that we wanted to kind of make an album where all the songs kind of glued together and just went into each other.
yeah. Do you know the band Kent?
Yeah, yeah, from Sweden.
I hear a little bit of them in
Yeah,
there too.
great band.
Yeah.
I love Kent. I also grew up with them, and one of Martin and me's favorite, my favorite band is Mew, which is a pop
Yeah.
prog band from Denmark,
Right.
which is also a big inspiration to
Yeah,
us.
Kent did these two English albums back in the 90s that I got hooked onto that I really liked a lot.
Yeah,
So that was really cool stuff at the time. Um,
yeah,
so in terms of some of the other music going on the record, I mean, it's a lot of acoustic, a lot of kind of mellow stuff. You talked about the mellotron and stuff, but then the mix of the clean vocals with then very specific, just a few parts where you're doing kind of growling. Are you singing and are you doing those parts, the growling
yeah,
parts also?
yeah. I mean, I've been growling in other bands, and I may be more of a metalhead than Martin, but we actually kind of agreed when we started that we didn't want to have any growling. We didn't want to try to make it metal or anything.
Right.
But those two parts, which have the growls,
It
just kind
just,
of
yeah, it
needed
fits.
it.
It's cool.
It just told us, the music just told us, you need you need it here
Yeah.
to just, yeah. And we did it, and I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
it's great.
I'm not like somebody that can listen to a whole album of that. But
Mm.
if it's done like how you guys did it, where it's just like in certain parts to accent kind of what's going on,
Yeah, more of an
I
effect
don't
than,
have a problem with it at all. It can be really cool. And gives it a little bit of aggressiveness, which is
mm,
which is very cool. So,
yeah.
are you guys doing any live shows? Are you putting together a band, or what's that going on with that?
Yeah, we're actually playing our first gig on Saturday, this Saturday.
First gig.
Uh,
Wow, that's
First
very
gig.
cool. Nice.
Yeah, so, and it's with Pendragon, and the Flower Kings are also playing,
Very cool. Yeah, perfect.
and
Perfect for
some
you
other
guys.
bands. Yeah, so yeah, we've had some pre-production and rehearsals, and we're pretty terrified and stoked at the same time. I mean, we've all been playing in tons of bands and played gigs forever,
Right.
but this is like kind of our baby.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's even more exciting.
To pull off stuff from this album, I mean, I imagine you have a lot of like laptops and kind of other things going on with that. What's it take to put this music together live, and make it sound like the record?
I mean, it's we do have some small, all the, all the parts of the sound of the wind and train and all that stuff um, is on backing tracks. So the whole show goes from start to finish. There's no stops in between the songs.
That's cool. Are you playing the
So
whole? Is the plan to play the whole record,
yeah,
like
from
beginning to end and like in
yep.
sequence? I'd love
But
to see that. That's very
some of
cool.
the parts are even a little bit extra long for
Right.
the, yeah.
That's
But
very cool. I'd love to
yeah,
hear that. Yeah.
yeah.
Who came up with the idea for the videos with the guy with the
I
face
did.
mask or whatever it is?
Maybe my all-time favorite band, or at least one of them, is a band called the Mars Volta,
Sure.
and they have an album called Francis the Mute, which I grew up with, and I love that album. And they were inspired by Rene Magritte, which is a painter who made a picture called The Lovers. It's two
Hmm.
people a guy in a suit and a dress, and they both have these white blankets over their faces. It just appealed to me that, I mean, a facial expression and stuff takes so much focus, and I really wanted to have more focus on things around and not have to have the people to have the attention of the facial expressions. Really.
Okay, get it.
Also, it's, I mean, it's mystical in a good way. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
that's very cool. So, what are the plans moving forward? I mean, are you guys already planning a second album? Are you always writing ideas? Do you need to go to a cabin for a week? Like, how does it work for you?
We have been making some new ideas, just some short stuff, but we're actually going back to the same cabin in August and yeah, start writing for the second album.
Is it going to be kind of a continuation of the story, or you think it's going to be a whole new kind of idea?
I will say probably a new, but I don't know yet.
Yeah, you don't know where
We
it's
have
going to
to.
go.
We're so just trying to be in the moment and having stuff coming natural to us, and we're not
Yeah,
listening to other music while we're there, and we're not like reading any news or stuff. We're just really in the zone, kind of.
that's cool. Listen, I think you guys
Yeah,
are very cool. It's killer to see a new band come up with something kind of fresh and really professional sounding. I can,
thank
you
you.
said you do some engineering
Yeah,
and that kind of stuff. You could tell. I mean, it sounds amazing and
thank you.
stuff's good. I can't. It's amazing how your voice, hearing you talk, and then how you come across singing. It's so different. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really wild.
I'm also actually a little sore in my throat now, so
But like singing, there's no accent. Was that weird for you when you hear yourself back singing?
yeah, it's always been weird.
Well, I gotta ask a little bit more about that before we get off. But when you
Yeah,
started singing, did you try to remove the accent when you were singing, or that it's just naturally that how it comes out?
I think that's also naturally.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know. It's
It's
like that
common. I mean,
for
there's a
many.
lot of
Yeah, yeah,
European singers that happens all the time, but it's a
yeah,
weird thing that it does happen. It's wild.
yeah. I talk bad, but sing better.
That's cool, man. Well, Awkwardist, the Approbation comes out on June 16th on Inside Out. You got a couple of videos out now, Pale Moon and Arcane Clouds, both really cool. And there's some killer stuff on the album. Really, the last two songs are amazing. They're both really, really
Thank
long and
you.
really intricate and different. If you like Opeth, Porcupine Tree, Mars Volta, you know, all that kind of stuff that we all listen to, I think this is definitely a band to check out. Good luck, Simon, with everything, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much. We
All right,
do.
man.
Perfect.
Bye.
Bye.